The Square Ball Podcast.
Levi Solicitors bring you the Square Ball Podcast, episode 251. Dan, Michael, and Moscow. We're doing heroes and villains now, then, in this part of the show. The Ken Bates Villain of the Week award first, please. Nominations sent to us by our TSB Plus subscribers via the feedback on the website. Nominations, please. Hit me, as they say.
The Schmeichel family. Let's start on some proper scum.
Mm-hmm.
Him and his dad, as the song goes.
Mm-hmm.
Just cause, really. I don't think he did anything particularly wrong.
I'll tell you what he did wrong. He did that good save early doors. That annoyed me.
A bit dramatic, that one, though, I thought.
For the cameras, we think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was classic Schmeichel, that. It was deflected as well. It was.
Meslier would have caught it.
Yeah.
None of this fancy tipping it over
I
business.
think Meslier would have caught that with one hand.
He would.
Not two hands. Anyway. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, and he was called an arrogant man by Ben on the feedback. Emma, son of scum. Yeah, we hear you.
I think that's all accurate.
I'm sure he's probably fine in real life.
No, I don't think so. I think he's... Because he... it's not only, as Dave Garle's article in the mag pointed out, it's not only the interviews he's done about his time at Leeds, but people have tried to kind of get him just to talk about having his famous dad, and he's walked out of interviews and been a right moody get, and it's kind of the only reason. I mean, it's not the only reason he's a successful goalkeeper is his dad, but there's a big contribution there that he's had the environment from the day he was born of goalkeeping, I think probably helped him. So to say that, oh no, who my dad is completely irrelevant is
well, it's
nonsense.
Not, yeah, no, that's not true. The ref has got a number of nominations: Moggy, Sazzy, Aidan Paul, Pete, Toby Larone. I like that name. Adrian, Alistair, Keith Ingham, and Pecan as well. For obviously Mystic Moggy at the top there, the bastard referee. Obviously, yeah, didn't like the ref. It was the ref.
It was Darren England who has.
What are his crimes against us?
Well,
and/or humanity.
Not paying attention. That was what Angus Kinnear said about him after a Millwall game in the Championship.
Which one? What did he do there? Was that the?
He wasn't paying attention.
Was it the red card?
I think it's
the Vardy red card.
I can't remember the full details, but I do remember him failing to give a corner. It's the one. I've got the Leeds Live write-up on it. It's the one where we were 2-0 down and came back to win 3-2.
Right.
Pablo and all
the
that.
Pablo game, yeah. And then I'm having to scroll past a lot of website nonsense to find out what the rest of it was. And Angus Kinnear said the only negative from that match was the standard of EFL officiating. Some of the decisions against Millwall forced us to add simply not paying attention to our list of concerns about the referee. So I'm confident, said Angus Kinnear, that Leeds United provide the most comprehensive post-match feedback of any Championship club. Our report on the Millwall game highlighted 17 separate decisions that we felt were worthy of review, and to the credit of the assessors, they will review them. And I
great to see that it's been promoted then.
And I imagine Darren England remembers that incident very fondly. Really loves that there was the 17 incidents that he had to be reviewed by the board, and was called out in Angus Kinnear's programme notes, and that every time he comes to Elland Road, it's not an excuse.
With an open mind and an open heart.
Exactly, yeah, very even-handed in all respects. To be fair to him, I'm amazed we got away with what Liam Cooper did to
Vardy
with his when he gave him the ball and then fucking
killed him,
body slammed him, absolutely wrecked him. I don't know if it's because it was kind of balanced out then. I really liked it's a bit of an under the radar moment, but then Tielemans and Meslier ended up on the floor kind of tangled like this, and there was a nice moment where that can turn aggressive and people start like scrambling around and it turns into a big schmozzle. Whereas they just kind of looked at each other, and Meslier was just like, look, I've got a hand on the ball, so if you do anything, it's going to be something. Tielemans was like, yeah, that's just...
It was like a game at the end of a game of Twister, wasn't it? They were all politely withdrawing back from the red spot on the yellow circle.
There seemed to be a tacit agreement that whatever Meslier did to kind of extricate his arms and legs from Tielemans' body, Tielemans wasn't going to be then like, oh, you've let the ball go, I'm going to score. So they kept it quite cool, and like I liked that. And I don't know if that distracted everybody from the fact that Vardy's
Vardy tattered corpse
lying in a heap on the floor where old the Cooper-thon had left him.
Just want to raise a point of order, by the way, with this obviously the Villain of the Week award. We tend to get Leeds players nominated in this for villainy by our listeners. I feel like we need to create like a subcategory, if that's all right. Maybe we're mildly disappointed in you, because I don't ever want to make, like, for example, Jackie Harrison, out of form. Gary and your friendly West Ham steward, Gouldy, Jelly, all nominating Jackie for villainy, but I can't give villainy to Jackie for just being a bit out of form.
How would you feel if Kiko Casilla was to return in January? Which category would he fall into?
I think you've got to keep it open. You've got
to let him see it. You've got to let him see the proper
stick, not carrot.
Yeah, you can't be just saying, oh well, but that's not for you.
Yeah,
we're not having two tiers of punishment here.
Yeah.
It is all about the contributing to the ongoing misery of being a Leeds United fan, and that's why for years I think probably we were referring in the other episode to people like Steve Morrison and Luke Varney, now retired, thankfully. I don't think a week went by when we weren't nominating them, our own players, for villains, and those days could return. I agree, it's a little unfair to call Jackie Harris now in particular.
Dan James as well. Andrew and Ryan Oddy both pick out Dan James.
And obviously Liam Cooper's got in there with Johnny Fair, says for doing very Cooperish things, which seems sort of damning somebody for being who they are. If that's who Liam Cooper wants to be, I think we should respect that. But yeah, we can mention them and in passing as having disappointed us, and always keep that the floor open for the days when we may have a Michael Brown.
Yeah, I mean, but this is more for the petty grievances. I want to give a perfect example here. The nomination we got from Andrew Larkin, who picks out Jamie Vardy, just doesn't like his face.
Mm-hmm.
Which goes back to, we did the episodes, the Hollywood Ball, and we spoke to Jess Barden, local actor, Leeds fan, family of Leeds fans. On that, she said she didn't like Jamie Vardy.
Yeah, I sort of like Jamie Vardy in a way, just because he is such a prick. I kind of quite admire him for it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is it right that he played for Bradford Park Avenue at some point?
He was at Halifax Town. I know that, because I remember my mate who watches him used to say, oh, he's really good. You should sign him. He'd do all right for you. I think we might have been in League One at the time.
Don't be daft.
And he was like, oh, he'd do all right for you. Honestly, he's really good.
Yeah. Turned out he was right.
He was right, yeah.
That part of his story does fill you with some kind of joy that he came up from non-league and turned into what he is. And I also like the fact he stuck with Leicester instead of going to Arsenal, although if it had been a slightly better club, I wonder if it would have been the same. But there was definitely
Ben White should have had the same level of sense, shouldn't he?
But I agree. I don't like his face.
On a similar tip, James Madison is being ink-shamed by Baz. Says nobody really stood out as being truly offensive from Leicester, but Madison's neck tattoo is annoying. So I'll go with the Hamburglar. Is that who he wants to nominate?
Has the Hamburglar got a neck tattoo? I was confused.
Or did he mean that James Madison's tattoo is of the Hamburglar, which is quite a niche?
I tried finding this. I couldn't even work it out.
I think he's suggesting the Hamburglar should be the villain of the.
He didn't seem to have a neck tattoo on pictures I could find. I think he's got a name written like on the back of his neck. But
what? The word up with an arrow.
He's not a man who should have a neck tattoo. Anyway, he's a nice boy. Is James Madison?
You think
it should be for career criminals? This is when I get a lot of neck tattoo people messaging in going, "I've got a neck tattoo." I'm only messing.
And you're a career criminal. That's what Michael's saying. He's making that abundantly clear.
If you can get podcasts in prison, I hope you're enjoying this one.
Nice, just Hello Kitty. That's the mark of a true menace to society. Is it a Hello Kitty neck tattoo? Neck tattoo?
Yeah, Hello Kitty pointing to a jagged line on the neck, cut here. Something
Jermaine
like that.
Beckford had a neck tattoo, didn't he?
Yeah.
And
do you like him?
Nice, he's never
Loved
been in
him.
trouble.
Is he a career criminal?
No.
Are you going to say that on record? Are you going to make that very clear?
I'm going to make that very clear. He
was a career footballer and a career windscreen repair.
Did the windscreen repairs, that was it.
The East Stand got picked out by Woodhouse White for going too easy on Kasper, by the way, when we're picking people to...
Were you in the East Stand?
Very much. I didn't go easy on Kasper. I sang songs about him under my breath.
That's not good enough.
You need to bellow loud and proud. He won't hear you whispering.
Into the face of a crying 6-year-old. Come on, join in. I don't know what it means though. You don't need to. Just sing it.
That's how you get into swearing at football, isn't it?
Exactly.
Just say the words you hear around you. Absolutely. I've said before, like my little lad, Sam will not, he won't swear by and large. He's very good with his language. We get the occasional crap out of him, but he was doing the, you shit bastard, when I took him to Ellen Road, so that's good. So I feel like I've won there.
Did you notice when Leicester tried doing that and everybody laughed at them?
Yeah.
That was quite nice.
Yeah, it was nice.
Because they were doing it to Aaron Ramsdale last week, and even he made fun of them for it. So I think Leicester just need to just stop. People are just
Aaron
mocking
Ramsdale,
you.
though, good example of how to deal with it.
Yeah.
Schmeichel, bad example. They're doing this. They shouldn't be doing it.
Aaron Ramsdale in that game, I started to wonder if he was like having the feeling, the closest feeling that a Premier League footballer can have to being on drugs, because it seemed like he was having the game of his life already, and then he starts doing all that with the crowd, and I don't know how far he was going with this kind of best day ever stuff. If it would, like, if somebody would when they throw a water bottle on a drink space, it smashes it into his head and starts screaming or something. He was very hyper.
Let's pick on Harvey Barnes
For being good.
Well, yeah, and that was a really annoying.
Can't be scoring goals like that.
Not
A little bit unfair, really, says George.
Not after jilting us as well. He jilted Victor Orta.
There was a phone. There was Victor a phone, doesn't he?
He does owe Victor a phone.
He'd been to Thorpe Arch and had a look around and all that, and
said he was coming.
And pissed off to West Brom, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. Ghosted Leeds.
Yeah,
and that's not good. I'd forgotten about the phone detail. Victor Orta's so angry that he threw one of his 20 mobile phones at the wall. There's a sign of a career criminal. I mean, you're picking on net tattoos. What about somebody who's got
burner
like six burner phones? You never say anything about Victor Orta, do you?
Well,
but he did in the.
Someone who's got 6 phones, it's someone you mess with. He's at the top.
In the interview that's in our summer special, which is still available to buy from our website, he talks about how Gabby Ruiz, who is the head scout at Leeds United now in Europe and effectively works for Victor Orta, him and his brothers in the 90s, they made the Spanish version of Championship Manager. They brought it, so they saw that and brought the game across and did all that. And Victor Orta, in his youth, him and his friends, they went to the kiosk where it was on sale, and they distracted the shopkeeper, and one of them got the box under the coat, run off, stole it, and then started pirating copies and selling them around their little estate. I don't know why you're looking surprised. You read this. I hope you've actually read our summer special.
No, I'm not reading that.
You're not reading the Square Ball magazine.
If it takes longer than 30 seconds to read, not interested.
Well,
Blah,
it does,
blah,
because it's
blah.
a very fascinating, in-depth interview that is well worth the small price to pay for the.
It was very good, but
magazine is full of absolutely
like
fantastic.
Don't like giving you credit.
No, it's not my credit. It's a group contribution, because that magazine is full of fantastic writing and art by lots of brilliant.
But who wrote the bit that you yourself are praising?
Well, no, I'm not praising it. I'm describing it as relevant to the Victor Orta discussion, and how we can establish that he is a criminal.
Moscow, you're a villain anyway.
While we're on Barnes, by the way, Philip did nominate the parents of Harvey Barnes, but he's actually wrong to, because do you know how Barnes' dad is?
John Barnes.
Paul Barnes.
Paul Barnes,
who played for York City, who scored twice at Old Trafford in what I remember being a really funny. It was a League Cup defeat where York City went to Old Trafford and won 3-0, and it was Harvey Barnes' dad scored twice in that. So that's how fucking old.
So why has he gone wrong then? He's gone wrong, hasn't he? Anyway, I was going to say, Moscow, you got a nomination from Ding saying.
I always get a nomination.
Well, you got silly. You got carried away on the match ball and said we were too good to go down. And Ding simply wants to know, Jesus, why oh why?
Because we are.
Okay, fine.
Simple as.
Okay.
There is a nomination. It's quite a niche one, though. I feel self-indulgent, but me and Michael got nominated for blathering on about what Jack describes as this silly kids game. We're talking about football, whereas he wants to know more about your Saturday night activities, what comes after you've listened to Boney M, which will be relevant to you if you've heard the Extra Ball Q&A that we did.
Where Moscow established he dances shirtless around his flat fists pumping to Boney M, to Ra Ra Rasputin.
Yeah.
Shirt was on.
The thing is, after we talked about that, and we did that recording on the way home. I listened to it in the car.
It's a great tune.
I got it. And there's it is a good build-up.
Yeah, it's. I think we said on the Extra Ball, you've got to get the album version and listen to the segue from Night Flight to Venus all the way through, where the drum's starting, and then it's the moment when the the bass drops in. But to answer the question specifically, nothing, because it blew my speakers. So that was pretty much. I think, things continue to be played, but I can't remember the details. And that stereo then.
It was a Sharp stereo, though. We should say that, a Scum stereo. Sharp.
It was a Scum stereo. I've still got it, but I need new speakers.
Dean Smith and John Terry get nominations, just wrapping up all the other ones now. Rich has picked them out for moaning about fair play, as they did with the whole Bielsa thing, and didn't even have the decency to stick around. And then chair, men, women, people have all been picked out, an assortment of those by Ad Sham, Mike, Lawney, Andrew, and Scotty T, just for losing the shit, as we were talking about. They've killed a lot of our podcast content by getting rid of Colin and Farker.
That's what they think. But Warnock left Leeds how many years ago? Still going.
And the point is, Daniel Farker's going to have more time on his hands to do stuff now. So I think we could maybe draft him in on a short-term contract.
I mean, we can hope he gets another job in England.
We will follow him to the Swiss Super League, the Challenge League even.
When we're having to try and scrape around the German second division for news of him, it might be a little bit tough.
Right then, come on, let's pick a villain. Is it Barnes? He feels a bit...
No, we can't give it to Barnes when there's...
He scored against us, didn't he?
When there's Schmeichel on this list,
you think?
Seems... Plus, Schmeichel will be annoyed.
Well, Schmeichel's biggest crime was just being sung at, really. Wasn't it? May spat as well, didn't he, actually?
It'd annoy him, though, would this?
You think so?
They're still at it. It's still not fair.
I'm tempted with Barnes out of kind of to avenge Victor Orta's pain, but I just hate Kasper Schmeichel.
We had to praise him over summer, didn't we? Because around the Christian Eriksen thing, he did quite well in that, and he
short memories though.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing, and even at Leeds, he's probably, he could be fine. He could be a nice person. He just always seems to refuse.
Fair enough.
If he changed his personality, he could be a nice person.
Well, his personality's probably all right. It's just that thing I mentioned where he's like he gets all spiky and all like won't talk about his dad in interviews, makes a big deal out of it and stuff. Just roll with it. Just it's not a big deal.
If he refused to talk about his dad on the basis that he's a scum bastard and made that clear, then that'd be fine.
I'll talk about him at Manchester City and nothing else. And he had, he's done some nice things in his time, and but been very successful at Leicester. But I don't feel like he's nice enough.
There you go. Congratulations, Kasper. Enjoy your award. Time for the Gaetano Berardi Hero of the Week award, which again we often look at weight of nominations. I mean, I'm not going to list all the names of the people who've nominated Forshaw, but it's everyone. It is, I suspect, the most nominations we've ever had.
If you didn't nominate Forshaw, I'd like to know why not. Because everybody did.
I didn't put them on the villain list because it was too complicated. But someone wanted to nominate anyone who didn't nominate Forshaw as the hero, as the villains. Yeah, it's getting into Inception level shit, that, isn't it? Yeah,
well, and that's exactly where I've taken us to. So,
but yeah, I mean, everyone did nominate him.
Yeah, and Philip just, I think, sums it up. Philip, who is now less worried, he says, in brackets, can't see much past Forshaw. What a return. It was a great return, wasn't it?
And Emma saying as well, you'd have to have a heart of stone not to give it to him because
everything
he's gone through.
Well, yeah, Alistair didn't put a foot wrong, and to play that well after so long out. Like a new signing. But it was great, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was brilliant, and I feel like we've kind of gone from not really appreciating him when he was in our team the first time around to having, now he's got a nice story of, he's got a redemption story. Everyone's now like, oh yeah, Adam Forshaw, we always loved him. Not the person we wanted kicking out for Jamie Shackleton.
If you remember when he first turned up in the Heckingbottom transfer window, wasn't it? He immediately raised the standard. He looked great at the start, and then under Bielsa's immediately come in and said he's the best player that's here, but he's never really, injuries have robbed him of that consistent run under Bielsa. The start of the promotion season, he was a big part of things and looking really good, and it would have been interesting to see what things would have been like if he'd played the whole season and got promoted to the Premier League. And this question of this surprise that he's, looking so good in the Premier League might not be such a big deal if he'd played all the way through. So it would be nice. And it's not about really proving anybody wrong or, his redemption story, or whether it's on his tweets or signing midfielder or not. It would be nice, given Bielsa rates him so highly and given that he is so capable, to see him play the rest of the season and maybe even more, if that could be possible, for Bielsa, and just see what it's like, because it could be really good. And leaving all the emotion out of it, it would be nice to see just how good a footballer he can be, because, Click and Dallas and Cooper and Ayling have all had their careers really raised by what Bielsa's done, and Bielsa picked him first, and he's never really had the opportunity to reap the benefits of being raised up. So, first name on the team sheet from now until his hip breaks again.
Oh, don't say that, because Jack has picked out Rob Price. He says Rob Price is the nomination for Hero of the Week, and whoever donated their hip willingly, I'm sure, to Forshaw. Just further on that point, Tom says, well done to Rob Price. The Beast and Butcher took a bit of time, but the rebuild he's done on Forshaw is akin to that of Alex Murphy. That's a.k.a. Robocop, one for the kids. There's been a remake of Robocop more recently. Wouldn't necessarily advise kids watching it, though. That is a fair point. It's quite grown up in some areas.
Oh, is it? I've not seen it.
I mean, he's a bag of lungs inside a titanium exoskeleton. So if that's what Adam Forshaw is now, then I'm happy to embrace him.
Okay.
But anyway, there has been a more recent Robocop. That was my main point.
Was Rob Price involved?
Didn't see the credits, to be honest. Did not see the credits.
Maybe he's an advisor on the movie.
I mean, I think it's fair to say that Forshaw will win this because it was his week, wasn't it? But let's have a look at some of the other nominations, particularly the Leedsy ones. Rodrigo looked far more assured. Another good performance. Strouk as well.
Can you be a hero for looking assured? Because even just looking assured, could you be just hiding panic?
Well, we said again, talking about the subset of awards, this is the Capdoft, because you did you were good. We acknowledge you.
Yeah, it's you're on the long list, aren't you?
Yeah,
probably. You just like
we want
to acknowledge that it's
you've got an invite to the awards. You're not going to win. Just be happy to be there. You have a nice day out, a nice night out, a nice dinner.
You didn't suck.
Yeah, great.
Thank you if you did nominate us, by the way, for the FSA awards. We are shortlisted for Fanzine. We're not going to win, unfortunately, because
this is not a public vote, is it?
No, we won the podcast one last year because that was a public vote, and Leeds fans are insane.
Yeah, so, and when we won I think we won the fans when the fanzine was done on public vote some years back, wasn't it? 2014, I'm going to say, and we won that by about 10 votes to 1, didn't we? For everybody else, then we got 10 times the votes that everybody else got because Leeds fans are insane.
We did it. It was 2 years running. They did it on a public vote, and the first year we didn't bother because we thought it was unfair. And in the end, it just became, it was just a popularity contest, and not to demean against modern football, because they stand against modern football. They won it that year, but they were the national fanzine with the biggest readership. And Chester City, who turned up, who sold like about 200 copies at every game. We saw them and they were just like, yeah, we didn't have a chance. And we kind of said, do you want to do this as a public vote? Is that going to work? And they put in as a public vote again next year. So we went, right,
let's just win it then.
We'll bloody win it then. So
to prove how stupid this is, we're going to win this by a daft distance.
And probably a good job we're not up for the podcast award this year, because we're now criticising the awards. We're desperate to win.
No, it was not criticism. We were trying to help because it's a proper awards do.
That's not to do down the brilliant design and writing that's in the magazine as well, because it is great. But
but we won something last year, and you don't win. You don't tend to win.
Like to spread the love.
2 years in a row.
Well,
we're talking too much, aren't we?
Yeah, we've
too many secrets.
We've got sidetracked. Yeah, Rafinha got a nomination. Strouk got nominations. Who else have we got? Llorente.
The disallowed goal got nominated.
Llorente deserves a mention, does he?
He was really good, and so was Cooper.
Apart from the mad bits.
Yeah, I mean, what did Vardy do in that game that they didn't let him do? That's the thing, he didn't create anything, and Leicester didn't create anything, and that was mentioned in I can't remember his coverage, but the Forshaw's performance. Tielemans, Ndidi, and the other fella whose name escapes me. Sumari, good players, and he was very good against them. And Vardy is a very good striker, and even when they brought Madison on, I know we let Harvey Barnes score that one goal, but they didn't do anything to us defensively. So you've got to credit the defenders, and I like that they try to keep it interesting.
VAR's got a nomination by Matt, but I'm loath to even acknowledge VAR. I know this is going against what I said on the match ball, that I really like that moment, but it'll come back and bite us on the arse before this season's out. So,
well, we can put it on record now because we roll with the punches. Matt says, quite simply, a great bunch of lads.
They're not.
We'll say that for now, and then next week.
I would try to do a reverse Kinnear here, where we say nice things about them and they do nice things.
The offsides, when it is a one like this, where there's now a fair bit of distance, there's at least like a foot of offsideness in this, rather than and it is from a foot. It's not from an elbow or something that we had to put up with last year. I can kind of tolerate VAR. It's when it becomes the more subjective ones, whether or not it should be a red card or whether or not you think there's enough contact for a penalty and stuff. They're the ones where I feel you see proper inconsistencies there. Whereas we can draw a line and you go, look, he scored a goal with his foot. His foot is there. It's kind of fair enough.
It's the difference between an offside yes/no decision and everything that ever happens to Dan James. Those are like the two categories of VAR that are quite distinct.
Sazzy wants to give a mention to the fans as well for the singing. Yep, fair point. And we're behind the Kasper songs, welcoming him back to Ellen Road.
Yeah, that's been pretty good this season, hasn't it?
It has. It's felt like we've enjoyed like an ongoing moment almost.
Given that the team hasn't been playing great and the results haven't been there, and we're bottom of the table.
But it happened again. It happened again. Like after Leicester equalised, there was a period of silence where we all kind of sulked a bit about having our
and all laughed.
Well, like the outpouring and like Rafinha with his shirt, paying tribute to was it a singer who passed away?
Yes, it's Maria Mendoza, I think she's called.
Mendonca it was.
Mendonca,
of course. Because I was thinking of Clive Mendonca.
Clive Mendonca's daughter, yeah.
Yeah. But we had all that nice moment, the outpouring of emotion, and then 60 seconds later, it was like completely usurped by that bastard. Smacking it in the top corner. Do you think Meslier should have got a hand to that? Because he pulled his hand away, didn't he? No,
it was right. It was like, I think Moscow described it as a postage stamp.
Yeah.
You stop the player there and go, where can I put this ball where it will not be saved? And it is just there.
Yeah.
Everywhere else he gives Meslier a chance. But
fair enough. But yeah, there was that lull. There was that kind of just a real silence fell over Ellen Road.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, that's happened, has it? But then second half came around, and I remember, that the We Are the Champions of Europe, the Wacko started about 55 minutes this time, and it didn't necessarily go around the full stadium, but it just did that thing again of just lifting everybody. And I think
the start of the second half was great on the pitch as well, which helped, I think, because we came out and we absolutely battered them for like 15 minutes without scoring. But it's still, it gets all the crowd going. And I think there's a difference now as well in the Ellen Road crowd in that everyone wants to be there, whereas for a great number of years, even the season ticket holders were a bit like, oh,
do I have to?
This again.
Well, I will say this. One thing I've noticed, a good litmus test on this is the East Stand, because you get a lot of noise from the Wedge South Stand, obviously, because they're near the away fans. Cop as well. The East Stand started singing a lot more this season. I mean, obviously got work to do with the West Stand, but it's getting there.
It's because you get Rafinha in front of you, not magging people.
This is true, yeah. But it is, the volume level has noticeably gone up in the East Stand, which is great. Right, go on then.
They've always just seemed a bit shy of the East Stand, I think. They need the rest of the ground. They don't want to be heard too much, but they don't mind joining in. Is what I've worked, because I used to be in there for years.
Yeah,
it was like once the cop really got going, they were like, oh, I'm gonna stop miming now. I'll actually do a bit of singing. It was always a bit like that.
Once it looks like so much fun that you can't resist joining in, that's when you'll get something out the East Stand. But it's quite a high bar. But yeah, it seems much more. I don't know if it's a response to everybody being shut out for so long that we couldn't be there last season.
I think so. Yeah.
And also an interesting sort of examination of how online and offline feelings translate, because they don't really necessarily marry up.
I mean, everyone's got those anxieties, and sometimes you hear the shouts and the worry and the panic, or you get that sense of that little general bubbling under of tension. But it always, inside the ground, it always manifests itself in singing and supporting them.
The thing is, online, people on Twitter are just, it's conversations that would have been had elsewhere before, which would have been, I think Wilco's bloody lost it here. I'm really worried about Gary McAllister in central midfield.
Expressing those fears.
But then you get in the ground and you don't kind of go, I'm not sure Gordon Strachan's in great form at the minute. You just go, well, let's just make some noise for a bit. Yeah. See what happens.
The first post loser.
It's Adam Forshaw's your hero of the week, isn't he?
He is,
yes.
Congratulations to Forshaw there, and hopefully, fingers crossed, he can...
is he too late for an England call-up?
He can stay in there. Never too late for an England call-up.
No, I mean for this one.
Anybody gets in there, don't they?
Well, if Calvin Phillips has to pull out injured, then...
he's the ready-made replacement, isn't he? Congratulations to Forshaw. No, but it has been brilliant. I mean, quite sincerely, as we're saying on over the on the match ball and stuff, and even on a human level. Good to have him back, and hopefully he can stay in there, and we can march on to Europe. For sure.
Still, I mean,
anchored
still
midfield.
There to be done. We can still win the league. What did Liverpool lost to West Ham, didn't they? So
it's on. Great stuff.
It's there to be won.
Check out TSB Plus if you're not yet subscribed. We really appreciate your support, and we'll catch you next time after the international break. See you in a bit.
The Square Ball Podcast.